Script it and rip it, my dude. Yo, for real though, so my family really wanted to do Lent this year and celebrate it. Oh, yeah. So I decided to give up sodas. I'm about to die. Like my head has hurt all day, and I'm like, I just want a goddamn Dr. Pepper in my mouth right now. I'd eat the whole can to get rid of this headache.
I have not been drinking soda for like the past 2 years. And my sister bought a 48 pack of Dr. Peppers, and they're in the fridge, and I keep drinking them because I can't stop myself.
I really do believe this is like with what withdrawal feels like. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I've switched to sparkling water, like LaCroix and stuff, and the yuppie of it is truly just like, I feel like I open a LaCroix and I turn into like, I don't know, Becky or something.
The hint and overtone of lemon in the sparkling TV static.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I get used to it now. Like, if I drink a soda, like, I still do drink sodas, but if I drink a soda, like, I sometimes have trouble getting through it because it's just so sweet.
It's too much flavor, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you.
So on the subject of sparkling nasty water, my brother-in-law works at Coke. He's like a upper management person at Coke. I mean, not upper management, whatever. But he was very excited because this was years ago. Coke had just acquired Topo Chico, and he was so excited. And we were going to this thing. And he knew there was going to be a booth there with like Coke being like, hey, try our new product, Topo Chico. And he was like talking it up. And he was like, we're going to go to this booth. I want everybody to get a sample of it. And then like we all got a sample of it. And I just threw it into my mouth. It hit the back of my throat. And I was like, this is so bad. But I couldn't say anything because it was like this lava water in my mouth that was like destroying my teeth from the outside in. And I like walked a short distance away from the booth and I went let it dribble down my chin, and Carrie came over and she said, what do you think about it? I was like, I think it's the worst thing I've ever put in my mouth. This is so bad. And that was the only time I drank Topo Chico.
Oh man, a glowing review.
It's so nasty. It is bad water. It's bad water. Don't drink it. Bad water.
Hello, friends. My name is Marlo Bogus, and you're listening to the Tales to Inspire podcast.
Budding romance. Operation American Defense has been disbanded, but not all of the former teammates have gone their separate ways. Crystal Gazer and Dr. Fusion have been exploring a relationship for over a year, but can the two costume superheroes find time for romance amid their busy social and heroic lives?
So as we open up this issue of Tales to Inspire, we are inside of a European village square. It is nighttime. The square is empty. Buildings in the background are crumbling and dilapidated from extending warfare. Crystal Gazer rushes into the square.
I lost the Nazi Panzer mechs. But in the process, I seem to have also lost my team. Now I'm here, in the middle of Nazi territory, just a Hollywood starlet with the powers of psychopathy and telekinetics. Still, I must press on. I must find Adolf Hitler and end this war for all the boys over here and for the best country in the world, America.
An explosion. Torchbearer rushes into the city square.
Mags, there you are!
Torchy, Stars and Stripes, where have you been?
I was about to ask you the same question. I grabbed 2 of those Nazi Panzer mechs and flew them into the sun. When I came back, I found the others, but I didn't find you. I thought I'd lost you.
Maybe I am lost, Torchy. Not lost in this village, but lost in my soul. When I volunteered myself to lead Operation American Defense, I thought I would be a real ace at it. But after arriving here and seeing all these boys fighting and killing each other, I'm afraid I'm no ace. I'm just a decked up chicken.
Nonsense! When we fought those vampires in Romania, it was you who tricked that dead chrome dome to drink the goblet filled with garlic juice. Then again, when Nazi saboteurs were poisoning troops in Italy, you used your psychopathy to ferret them out. You've always stepped up and saved the day, Mags. You ain't no chicken. You're a real cookie. And that's why I love you!
What did you say, Torchy?
You heard me, doll. Quit pretending you didn't know already. I've felt you poking around in my brain ever since we left Egypt.
I suppose I haven't been real shy about finding out how you really feel about me, have I? Just shy about doing anything about it.
Shy? Then why don't you let me take the lead on this one, Max?
And he goes to dip her.
As soon as the dip happens, does this weird flip out of his grasp and lands flat ass on the ground and screams, "Cut! Now what in the hell is this?"
And suddenly we are not in this scene anymore. We are in a Hollywood sound set. And we see boom mics and cameras positioned. We see stage hands in every which direction. And we see the director throw up his hands and fall back in his director seat. Oh, gosh, what? Margaret, what are you doing? We've shot this scene twice already. What is the problem now?
I don't know how many times I have to tell you. I know Torch is dreamy, and I understand that, but this ain't how it went down.
Listen, we are giving people an imaginary fantasy place. Who the hell cares if it happened like this? This is how we're going to present it. For money.
I care. You're gonna bring this dime store Hitler in here. You're gonna have him come in here and act all super villainy. This ain't how it went down.
And in the background, we see stepping out from the cutout cardboard of one of the buildings in the background. We see an actor who's been dressed up as Adolf Hitler in this huge cardboard mecha suit. And we see these people behind the knee joints, operating his legs to walk him forward. And he says, "Come on, I've been working on my German accent."
I thought we talked about the mechs. Come on.
Fine. Back to the drawing board, then. Back to the drawing board. Crystal Gazer, the hero of America, and the bane of Hollywood. And he, gets out of his director chair and, walks off with the script in hand.
I'm done. I'm done for today. I'm the bane of Hollywood, and I'm going home so I can do my bane of Hollywood things.
And she, does her hands up like this and starts, walking for her dressing room.
Yeah. And you walk off stage, and you walk into your dressing room. And as you walk in, you see Julian, your agent. And with him, you see a man you have come to recognize as Fred, Julian's lover. And you walk in and you see both of them, and like they quickly scramble apart, their eyes wide, but then they see it's you, and they both relax. And Julian says, "Well, Mags, how did recording go today?"
Terrible. They've hacked it up. I told them what should be in the script. I even helped them storyboard it. But do they listen to me? No, I'm just a useless woman who happened to kill Ubermensch.
Don't worry. I'll talk to Frank. We'll get something sorted out. Don't worry, honey. This movie's gonna be a blockbuster like nobody's ever seen before. It's gonna set records, baby, and we're gonna ride it all the way to the bank.
We are, aren't we? Well, why are y'all here?
Well, straight to the point then. Well, Mags, why don't you take a seat? Fred and I want to talk to you about something. And then we turn the page, and there's a new panel, and it says a few minutes later in the little yellow box.
So you want me to marry Fred?
It's just a formality, really. Just something to make the film execs comfortable.
What about me?
What do you mean?
Well, do you think it makes me comfortable?
Well, honey, it's just a publicity stunt. We put it in the papers. You don't even have to stay in the same house together. You don't even have to see him. As long as we get the pictures and we put it in the newspapers, people will know that Fred is a heterosexual man happily married to the most famous woman in America.
Well, I mean, to be honest, kind of like not having a man around all the time. But, I don't know. I'm kind of seeing somebody.
Fred, kind of slumps into shot. Oh? Who are you seeing, Margaret?
Well, I don't really know if that's anybody's business. And I've been kind of putting off telling you, Julian. Sorry, I just didn't want to deal with it. It's kind of awkward. Anyway, well, I don't know if we're actually seeing each other. It's kind of weird.
Honey, your whole life has been weird ever since you went overseas and made up your mind to kill Adolf Hitler. It's just something you're gonna have to get used to. Now, and he takes your hand in both of his and just squeezes ever so gently. Mags, you know I would never ask you to do something that would put you in harm's way. But you would be doing Fred and I a real favor.
I hope someday somebody loves me like you love him. Enough to, I don't know, ask a straight woman to marry a gay man. I'll think about it, okay?
And Fred puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "And that's really all we can ask you to do. Thank you, Margaret." Marlo, do you think that interaction with Julian went well, or do you think you would step up your bond clock with Julian?
I think she's at odds, and I think that Julian said that he was doing the right thing for her, and she's telling herself that that's the right thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't think she really believes that's the right thing.
Okay.
Or she'd have said yes then.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we are stepping up that bond clock.
Okay, so go ahead and step it up. I think you have 3 out of 8 wedges filled in now.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. Feels like it should be way higher.
Yeah, it really does, actually.
But okay, so we turn the page from that interaction with Julian and Fred. Where's Crystal Gazer? What's going on?
So, I think they're going to go back to the first place that they had dinner ever, which I'm imagining is not a really nice place. It's maybe like a little hole in the wall, Italian joint or something. Okay.
but it's like authentic. Like, you know, those hole in the walls, they're like so good.
Yeah.
So she is, she's got the same table. She reserved the exact same table they sat at. She is like sitting there with a like bucket of like champagne on ice, a candle in front of her, like the nice white tablecloth. Like, they don't usually put out the white tablecloths, but she like talked to the owner and they're like, anything for you, Miss Meadows, right? And so she has it all set up. She has a little gift on the table in front of her that she's gonna give him, and she's just like, if he's not gonna treat me the way that men usually treat me, I'm gonna treat him the way men usually treat me. And I know that I love gifts and I love all this stuff. So, yeah.
Okay. So we see we see a panel of Crystal Gazer, this bucket, candles, fine cloth, the present, and I think in the next panel, how much time do you think would have passed before Crystal Gazer started like slump in her seat and show frustration?
I think she knows Doc, and I think she knows that, like, so she knows that he's a scientific type and that he gets in his experiments and sometimes he's late, and that's happened before. So I think it takes her about 30 minutes after for her to start kind of giving that worried look and like wringing the napkin in her hands.
Okay. So yeah, we see a little yellow box that says 30 minutes later. And we see, wringing that napkin, worried, frustrated that he's not here yet. And then I think in the next panel, we are not in this restaurant anymore, but we are where Dr. Fusion is. Dr. Fusion, where are you?
Dr. Fusion is in his lab.
Okay.
He's got one of those tubes of that particle that we found.
Yes.
And is like working with it. He's got a kind of more put together version of the device he built in Germany. Or was it in Britain? I can't remember where we were.
You had a flat. You were sharing a flat. You were flatmates with Torchbearer and Omission for a little while.
Yes.
And you had turned your small kitchen into a laboratory.
Got you. So yes, I have a more put together, better technologically advanced version of the same setup. And it is like there are readings going off the charts and just all kinds of stuff happening. And you see the camera or the clock in the corner saying the same time that the 30 minutes passed when he was supposed to be there.
Yeah. Ooh, I like the idea that like we see Margaret Meadows and then we see a panel of the clock and then we see another panel of a different clock same time.
Yes.
And that clock is in Dr. Fusion's office.
I like that. But he's just kind of working on it, and then he kind of sets it aside. The readings kind of go down to stable, and he just kind of wrings his hands together. Yes, this is good. And then he looks up at the clock. Scheiße. And the panel changes to, I think there's another clock, and it's 30 minutes after that. And it's him opening the door to the restaurant.
Okay. So is this restaurant, so what's the location right now? Are y'all in Hollywood? Did y'all eat at a restaurant in Oregon? Like where are y'all meeting up? Or does Dr. Fusion have a laboratory in Hollywood that he works at sometimes? What's going on here?
I almost feel like she would travel farther than he would for the relationship.
Ooh.
I was about to say that.
I feel like, because he wouldn't want to get that far from his lab on most occasions, so...
She's in Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Drove all the way to Oregon. Took a train all the way to Oregon for this. Okay, so 30 minutes later, Occam, is Dr. Fusion running into the restaurant, or what's the next panel?
He's he hasn't even changed clothes. He just has a slightly nicer jacket on. And he just walks in and is looking around for her at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's at the table, but that whole bottle is gone, and she's got a second bottle on the table.
Yes. Excellent.
And her eyes are really red. So, but like, I imagine she saw him walk in the door before he saw her. So she has like wiped her eyes and like goes to stand up. And like, she's got a glass in her hand. Like, she's like, "Oh, you're finally here. Great. So glad to see ya."
Yes, I am sorry for my lateness. My experiment went longer than I expected.
I want you to understand something. I am the it woman right now. Do you know that? No, of course you don't. Why do I even ask that stupid question? I could have any man I wanted right now, Leslie. I could be anywhere. I could be in any nightclub. I could be in any flat. I could go anywhere I wanted to and do anything. Instead, I'm a bottle and a half down in the back of a...
She looks around.
Shitty little Italian restaurant. Waiting for some genius to finish his experiments to pay attention to me.
And she says that loud enough that anyone in the restaurant, I think, hears it.
Does a little bit of your psychic powers flare up and knock some things back, or not? No.
Oh yeah, I think it like flashes out, and like, a picture on the wall falls, and glasses behind the bar like tinkle. One of them breaks in the back because it hits the like brick wall.
I think one of the glasses on the table starts to tip off the table, and Dr. Fusion kind of grabs it and places it gently back on the table. I do not understand where you're going with this.
Of course you don't. You're an hour late, sweetie.
My experiment went long, I'm sorry.
I don't think you are sorry.
So I think some bonds might be getting burned right now.
Yep.
Dr. Fusion, does that hurt? Do you need some ice for that?
It hurts. Like, he is feeling things that he's not sure what they mean exactly.
Yeah. So do you want to step up your bond clock?
Yeah, I will definitely burn a bond on that.
I think if he's burning a bond on that, I gotta burn a bond on an hour late for a date.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Sure.
Burn those bonds.
Well, if you're burning a bond, Occam, I'm gonna
burn it. I'm gonna burn it twice as fast.
That's my first burnt bond with you, too. And I believe also, actually, because of my drive book, would that bump my bond clock with science up?
Oh, it sure would.
So that bumps up to 2, right?
Yeah, so what? Read for us. What's the mechanics of that?
So I begin work on a project to change the world, which is my energy project I'm working on, which gives me a bond with science at a bond score of 3. That just means I have like 8 spots, right?
Yes.
Okay. And for each bond that I burn due to being lost in my project, I step that bond clock with science up by 2.
Yes.
And if I max it out, then my technology is completed.
Yes. Yeah, so go ahead and step that up by 2, please. Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt this tremendous moment of role-playing. Just wanted to slip some mechanics in.
No, you're good. That's fair. All right. So yeah, Doc looks a little stunned for a second and kind of confused for a little bit, and he just kind of sits in the booth I am sorry. I don't mean to... You deserve better than that.
And I think you see Crystal Gazer, who has since she had that little outburst, has these sort of energy kind of pulsing off of her a bit. It's not hurting anything, but just kind of pulsing, and it starts to ebb, and tears start leaking out of her eyes.
I'm sorry I doubted you. I wanted tonight to be special.
I've been oblivious to your feelings, it seems. And my own, I suppose, as well.
Well, I have felt like maybe there weren't any. And I thought I had to make the first move and kind of talk to you about this. I have some news, and I wanted to find a way to talk about it, and I thought tonight would be good, and I should have called the lab, I guess, but I thought, well, I did all this, he could at least call me. I wanted to be angry at you. And I guess I still am, but I believe that you're sorry.
He just kind of sits in silence for a long pause. I'm not good at this.
I know. And that's kind of why I like you. Men are pigs. I don't know if you know that. At this point, I don't assume you know anything. Spent my whole life realizing what I am and what I look like and, well, what men want. I can't help the shape of my body or the symmetry of my face or how charismatic I am or whatever. I can't help that. And I spend so much time dodging it. I feel like I'm prey. And you're the only person in my life, the only man in my life, who ever made me feel like I was a human being and not just an hourglass figure.
People often view me as an outsider. I'm not from here. I do not have the same motivations as others. I've never really had very many friends. It has been nice to have someone who sees me through my intelligence.
If a friend's what you need, Leslie, I can be that for you. But I don't feel that way. I don't know what love really is. I'll be honest with you. I dealt with a lot of the more topical stuff. But I know that when you walk in a room, my heart starts racing. I know that I can't pry into your mind. And that's scary. But it's exciting. I don't know what tomorrow brings or what the next crisis is going to be. And I don't know how many weeks, months, heck, even days we've got left. I almost died when Ubermensch attacked me. And all I thought about as he was pounding on me was that I wished you were there to help me. And I sat in that hospital for a long time thinking about how what I thought was going to be my last thought on this planet was about you. If you don't want to take this any farther, I understand, and I'll get over it, and I'll move on. You don't have to worry about me. I've been through worse. But I think we're kind of made for each other.
I've never worried about anyone. But when I heard that you were injured, it took a lot to not seek you out. I don't know. You cannot quantify feelings, love. It's not something that I am good at recognizing. There's something here more than friendship.
Well, I agree, and I think we should see what it is. But, I got a little something I wanted to talk to you about, because it's not easy, and you know my agent Julian. I think I've talked about him before. I don't know if you were listening, but he's asked me to do something that might. She at this point she sat back down way earlier than this. I got in the role play of it and didn't say that, but she's
sure
reaches out and takes his hands in hers. He asked me to get married to somebody. Somebody who would benefit very greatly from my image, and it would make their image a whole heck of a lot better. But they don't love me, and I wouldn't actually be involved with them in any physical manner other than probably that first kiss and showing up to events together, acting like we really love each other when I barely know him.
Doc is visibly uncomfortable. I do not like the idea of a political marriage. If we are to try to figure out whatever this is, it would not be good to do so from the shadows.
Yeah, I want you to understand, though, that this person's real important, too. It would help my image, not as much, but a lot. And, if you're saying you take exception to it, I want you to understand that its effects on me, well, and my career, might be greater than, just saying no. I owe Julian a lot. Julian has stake in the game here. And if I tell him no, Julian doesn't like being told no.
If your image is that important to you, why are you here? And he looks upset a little bit. A little leaning into anger, almost.
I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry. She leans forward and puts her hand on his cheek. I want you to understand that if you're asking me not to do this, we have to try at this. We can't give up over nothing. Because if I say no, I'm saying no for you.
Okay. Whew. And
you okay? Do we need a second?
Yeah.
This is tough.
That was really
Jesus. This episode is wonderful, but how are we?
I'm okay.
I'm just here. I'm enjoying being a member of the audience for this episode. This is great.
This is hitting a little close.
Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, no, I'm good. It's just, I've been in this situation on the other side. Oof.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we're good. We good.
Right.
We can keep going.
You just tap out if you need to, okay? Like if it's...
Oh, yeah, no, we're good.
We're good,
we're good.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 20 of Tales to Inspire. I am your host and storyteller, David White, and let's get to the show notes. I hope it is not picking up on the recording right now, but it is currently 8:55 p.m., and it is at this exact time that the ice cream man has decided to drive around our neighborhood blaring his ice cream music. You know, his little Pied Piper song for sweet-toothed children. And he started doing it while we were trying to lay our son down. And it's like, really? Right now? Right now is the time that you're going to come peddle your wares when we are trying to put this boy who loves ice cream in bed? Anyway, I hope it's not picking up on the recording. But if it's not, I don't know, maybe that's an entertaining story for you. And I hope that you are enjoying this romance-focused episode. Occam and Marlo are great role players, and this was such a fun episode to record. And really, I did very little. I just got to kind of sit back and watch two master role players do their thing. And if you are curious about like how we achieved this level of character intimacy, stick around until after the credits, and you will be able to listen to our Geek Out during the credits, or is it Geek Out after the credits? I don't know, it's an old City of Mist thing, but listen to us talk about the episode after the episode is done, and we'll kind of talk about what safety procedures we had, kind of our chemistry with one another, and some interesting, out-of-character stuff like that. Now, as you know, we are fully supported by the generous monthly donations of our patrons on Patreon, and right now we have fallen below our goal. We have fallen way below our goal of $400 a month. At $400 a month, I can afford to pay our performers $5 for every hour that we spend recording. Right now, we are making about $242 a month. That is not enough to sustainably pay our performers for the amount of work that we put into the show. And right now, we're wrapping up Season 1. Well, Season 1 is already wrapped up, but I am editing Season 1 before we begin production on Season 2. And I'm kind of hoarding all of the money right now, not spending it on any new knickknacks or recording equipment or anything like that, because I'm trying to save up as much money as I can so that I can afford to pay our performers $5 an episode for some amount of time. Now, this is not sustainable. We will eventually run out of money. And we haven't gotten any new patrons in a couple of months. At least none that they popped in and then they left, which, it's fine. I can't fault you for that. But if you listen to the show and you like our performers, if you like the show that we're doing, if you think that these performers should be paid for the amount of work that we put into these episodes, please click the link below, go to our Patreon, and give any amount that you can. $1, $2, the $5 amount, as I've said before, is my favorite level to give on our Patreon. It gets you early access to these episodes, and it gets you access to patron-only content, like the Gajuliot, the greatest Justice League Unlimited episode of all time, that I record with Phil, the voice of Torchbearer. And we just have a fun time watching the old Cartoon Network, WB show. Is it WB? I guess, is Cartoon Network owned by WB? I think it is, because it ran on Cartoon Network, but is a Warner Brothers property. Anyways, we talk about the old Justice League Unlimited show. We compare 2 episodes in a tournament-style format, and we are left with one standing at the end of each episode, and eventually we'll be left standing with one final Justice League Unlimited episode, which will be the Gajuliot. It's a lot of fun. Phil and I crack a lot of jokes. Even if you're not into the Justice League Unlimited, and if you like our voices, why don't you give it a shot? It'll be something to occupy your time while you're doing something. But yeah, $5 a month. I think that's a really great option. If you can afford to give $5 a month, we would so greatly appreciate it. But we also just appreciate you listening to our show. And speaking of our show, I think it's time that we get back to this romance-centered episode. So I think as we see a panel of Dr. Fusion kind of puzzling over that answer, what does Dr. Fusion's expression look like right now?
He looks like you've never seen Dr. Fusion look so conflicted and have so much the only time you've seen Dr. Fusion with the equivalent of emotion on his face is now is when he was going into omission for some things, for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not so much anger this time as just a mix of frustration and confusion and just he's never cared this much about someone and doesn't know what that means, and it's just a massive emotions.
Yeah. So we see this mass of emotions drawn on your face, but before you can respond, there is a text box that comes into the frame with jagged triangular lines coming off of it of someone screaming, "Ah!" coming from outside. What do the two of you do?
I think Crystal Gazer, who had just been very much concerned, very much not sure what's going on. She's not seen this emotion out of him before ever. Margaret sees this. I think her eyes go wide and she immediately stands up. She immediately goes into superhero mode.
Yeah, Doc's face goes stoic and he shoots up as well.
Okay. You look to the front of this restaurant and you see some people crowded around the door, poking their heads out, and you hear a loud crash outside, like a metallic crash.
This can wait.
We have to do our thing. I don't have any of my gear.
Okay, dope.
I think they're probably going bolting out there.
Okay. Yeah, you bolt past the owners of this restaurant. You go into the street, and as you come to the street, you see a car flying down the street, crashing, dropping on the cement pavement in front of you. Your eyes track where it came from, and you see this mass of undulating mud and rock and water splashing around a corner. It coils around a lamppost and breaks this lamppost in half, and then it starts to congeal and take shape. You see these two trunks
of legs and a humanoid-esque body and these huge 3-fingered hands and like this misshapen gloppy face. And you hear a voice ring out saying, "Little know the terror of the puddle." And this creature, the puddle, grabs.
I can't, David. I can't.
Is this the line? This is where you had to pause. The puddle grabs another car and like slams it into a building right next to. And you see people fleeing in all directions from the terrifying puddle. What did the two of you do?
Oh boy.
It's 1940s, man. We gotta have weird villains up in this.
No, I love it. It's great. It's just terrible.
What's the most immediate like threat like to civilians?
I believe if you are wanting that information, we will need to roll and examine. So take 2d6 and add your investigate to it.
Imagine having dice when you're going to play a tabletop game.
Imagine.
Oh, God. That's right. I need those.
Oh, my goodness.
Luckily, they're right here next to me on the desk.
So that roll is a 3.
Oh, man. Okay, yeah. So looking around, you are looking for what the danger is. And I need to make a hard move now. I think... so the puddle is flailing and swishing their globby legs down the pavement, and I think as they do, one of their feet goes wide and kicks this fire hydrant, and the fire hydrant breaks apart, and a geyser, really, of water goes spraying out straight at Margaret Meadows. And I don't think it's going to hurt you, but it is definitely like going to strike you bodily, force you up against a wall, and just like get you soaking wet. So I would like for you to...
crystal geyser, if you will.
Occam, I don't know what I'm doing telling this story. I don't know what I'm doing telling the story when you're right here. But Margaret Meadows, I would like for you to mark 2 stress from the crystal geyser. It strikes you bodily, forces you up against that wall. It's throwing tons of water in your face. Dr. Fusion, what are you doing?
He'll like grab her arm and pull her out of the blast of water if he can. I'm kind of useless. Distract him. Just don't let it propose. And he leaves. And runs towards one of the cars.
I think her face just like, did he just be snotty with me? Oh no. Hey there, little puddle. How are you doing?
And it like turns around, its like head like rotates on its shoulders unnaturally towards you.
You know, I really like it when a man can make a move.
Okay.
And she's like drenched, right? So her hair is like totally flat. And she had this really cute like little, it was like a little cap sleeved A-line like dress. And it had like a little like puffer thing underneath it to kind of make it stick out a little bit. Not huge, but just a little bit. And it's totally like stuck. Like it's stuck against her body. Like it's like
drenched.
Yeah, it's drenched, but it's not the kind of material you want to get wet. Mm-hmm. Because like it's legitimately like it's doing the like cinch up thing. Like some materials when you like wash them or get them wet, it's supposed to be dry cleaned. It's a dry clean only.
Yeah.
I'm a little passionate about laundry. So it is clinging, and she looks down and realizes this and starts like standing up straighter and kind of cocking her hip out, doing her like thing, like just hamming it up.
Yeah. the puddle rotates towards you, and it's not so much that it turns towards you, but just like its arms like orient themselves to be facing towards you, and its feet orients around you. It like doesn't turn humanly, but it turns like this amorphous blob of water towards you.
You're gonna drown the whole city? Well, then I assume Mrs. Puddle isn't here.
She's looking at the puddle, like, and then she looks over to see where Leslie is. To be like,
yeah. So we see like the shot of, it's a close-up panel of Margaret Meadows like looking over her shoulder, and we see like Dr. Fusion like way in the background. What do we see in Dr. Fusion? Like a little chibi Dr. Fusion in the background.
You see this car like flipped up with the hood open, and it's like the engine is like, and the hood's up, and Dr. Fusion is like just gotten there, and you just see like a kind of a bubble of his face in chibi form, just like rolling its eyes, and are we going to me, or are we doing something else with that before?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if like you should roll a move, Marlo.
for distraction.
Yeah, to do a distraction. I think, but sure, let's do take a risk. You're relying on your skills to overcome an obstacle or perform in a risky situation. So go ahead, roll 2d6 plus your influence.
Okay. What is that? Oh, okay. That's 8. 10.
A 10. So you do it. So what are you wanting to goad the puddle into doing?
Pay attention to me.
Yeah,
and I think she's good at that.
Yeah. I think the puddle is like getting frustrated with you. And the puddle says, "The puddle is not tied down by the bonds of monogamy." And they like
hashtag relatable.
The puddle's the most relatable character on this podcast, and they're an amorphous blob of mud. But they put their hand above their head, and like it congeals into like this huge, just like orb of water, and they're gonna like come and bring it down on you. But I think you rolled a 10 plus, so like it's like gonna hit where you are, but you're gonna like get out of the way, and it's gonna do the like supervillain thing where it's chasing you and trying to get you, but you're like just getting out of the way. So what does it look like as the puddle bears down on Crystal Gazer?
So I think as he's like about to like bear down, it can like hit her. She does the simple take one step back, you know? And like, so she like she does this like, she's like looking at him like, I'm trying here, come on. And then like when she sees this, she's like, you see this look up, like you see the shot of her face with her looking up and her mouth like kind of agape, like, oh. And then she steps back, and then she says this one liner. She says, "Last time I tried to chase a man, he left me sitting in a Italian restaurant all by myself for an hour. So I'm used to having a hard nut to crack."
And then I think we turn the page to Dr. Fusion at the other end of the street. What are you doing?
So Dr. Fusion has ripped the battery out of this car and is like pulling random wires out and fixing them to different things. And he kind of touches two wires together, and it's basically just this battery that's been hooked up to a bunch of different things, and it looks like a bomb. Like, it's bad. It's really roughly ramshackled together. But he touches two wires, and they spark a little bit, and he's like, perfect. So I suppose I should make a move for that.
Definitely. Let's make a use environment move. And if you have not noticed, I have updated.
Would it not be a gain an advantage?
I don't know why I said use an environment, because I got rid of use environment to make gain advantage. So let's make this new move, gain an advantage. When you use your abilities or skills to give yourself or your allies an advantage, describe how you do it. The EIC will tell you what to roll. I think you're rolling 2d6 plus your investigate. So go ahead and roll.
Oh, come on. Don't blow up. Okay. It's an 8.
An 8. Okay, so you get to choose one. You can make it potent and give yourself a +1 forward when you use it. You can make it ongoing so that you could use it narratively more than once. Or it has no unintended consequences.
I'm going to make it potent because it's fun to have consequences.
Yeah, it is. All right, so you have a +1 forward whenever you use this. So you can use it once. It will give yourself that +1 to your roll. But there's going to be a consequence. So you have a battery bomb.
Awesome.
Okay, so we go back to the other side. The next panel is on the other side of the street. The puddle is pursuing and like waves against a shore, tumbling over itself to get to Crystal Gazer, but has not been able to get to her yet. Where are you now, Crystal Gazer?
I think she's like gonna climb on top of a vehicle or something. Like, I think that's what she's gonna do. She's trying to buy herself a little bit of time, so she can like. Ultimately, her goal would be to like get some sort of shield up, some sort of like telekinetic like shield sort of thing going, so that she could block the water from hitting her. But she,
So do you want to try to make a telekinetic shield?
So is there any? Let me ask this question. Is there any part that is like solid of puddles here?
It doesn't look like it. It's mostly just gloppy mud and water. There are some bits of rocks, but it doesn't look like there's any like physical form inside of it. It's not like undulating around a core or something.
Okay, it's not like a chaos from like Sonic Adventure type.
Yeah,
it's
not like a brain chaos. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think she, she's angry with Dr. Fusion, but she is not. She believes in him still. So she is just trying to distract. She's literally doing what she was asked, and especially because she doesn't see anything that because she could fling something at him, but she doesn't see a brain, so she doesn't know what to focus her power on. She doesn't see anything solid she can hit with something else. So she's just hoping that whatever Leslie comes with is gonna fix this. So she's up on this car, and I think if we can do a push to see if she can create this shield, we'll see what happens.
Definitely. Let's roll a push. So do you think this would be a simple, a difficult, or a borderline power for you?
That's kind of tough. So, because to level set this, I know you have access to this and you can look at it, but as I think it through, her access, and so really, truly, her skill set really kind of focuses on controlling someone else and throwing and moving physical objects, right?
Yeah.
That's really her two skill sets. She's not done anything like this before. So really, truly, as I'm thinking through it, and I think about moving things and creating this sort of this sounds difficult to me because her powers are not, her powers are not grabbing, or her powers are more like grabbing things and doing things. They're not sustained hold like that. So I'm thinking difficult.
Okay, so go ahead and roll 2d6, and you don't get to add anything to it.
Well, lady luck. Big money, no whammies, no whammies. So 8?
An 8. Okay, so you're going to be able to do it. You are not going to be able to add it to your powers profile, and you're going to take 2 stress, because this is a difficult power.
So, yeah, I think she's how is he trying to hit her? So I can kind of
Yeah. So you get on top of this car, and I think the puddle, like, you're looking around, you don't see the puddle, and then all of a sudden the puddle comes up on all sides and like congeals up above you and is like gonna come down full force on top of you.
Ooh. I think she's. Ooh. I think she's just trying. She's like, oh no, that can't happen. And like, so she says, so like that's her thinking. That's her inner monologue. As she does it, so she doesn't, like, there's no quippy one-liner. She's just literally freaking out, like, no, please God, no. And so as she kind of like does her hands and then does up in the air, and you see this sort of like bubble sort of like form from her hands from the top, and it's forming as the thing's falling. So it's kind of like splattering in all directions. I mean, I imagine a little bit of it hits her, but like she creates this sort of like bubble around herself.
Yeah, and we see like a veritable mudslide just falling down on your shield, cascading over the dome of this bubble, landing to either side of the truck. Dr. Fusion, you see this as you are on the other side of the street. What are you doing?
So he runs toward like the center of the street and puts the battery down, and these wires, he just like has a bundle of wires wrapped around his arm, and he starts like unspooling it and running toward like a metal mailbox that's on the side of the street. And he kind of affixes the like one side of the cable to the bottom of to like the leg of the mailbox. Yeah, he's not gonna yell anything because he doesn't want the thing to see him. So he just kind of looks at Margaret as best he can and tries to get her attention, just like waving at her and pointing at the battery and saying, "Get him over here."
Okay, so I think she's attempting to move that direction while holding this thing that she's never done before. So that's what she's gonna try to do at this point. Is there a move?
I feel, let's
probably take a risk to be honest.
We really and truly, we probably should have been having some combat exchanges during this.
We're playing fast and loose.
Yeah, we are playing fast and loose this episode.
Seize control could work, the common move.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Okay, so yeah, let's do a seize control. And you're trying to get over there. So I think, since you're describing yourself holding up this wall of psychic energy, you're trying to maneuver yourself and protect yourself, I think you should roll 2d6 plus your protect.
She protect.
She protect.
She attack.
She read thought and
protect.
But more importantly, she protect.
11.
And 11! You do it! How do you do it?
So she's holding this and she's fatiguing. She feels tired, and this does not feel good. This feels like it feels like her brain is in a vice right now. And each step is hard. But she's got her eye on Leslie. And as she's walking that way, and her eyes are just as wide as they can be, and her teeth are gritted, and she's holding it up like she's like she's got like all the weight and strength of like a power lifter trying to carry something over their, like the heaviest weight over their head. She moves that direction and tries to like position herself like so that the puddle will have to pass over the bomb to get to her.
Definitely. So you get over there with Leslie, you put the bomb in between you and the puddle. The puddle like congeals and reforms itself, towering above the both of you. And it pulls itself up to come down on you. Dr. Fusion, are you doing anything?
As it does that, Dr. Fusion takes the other end of the wire and touches it to the metal mailbox, and there's a spark, but then nothing happens.
It sparks. The water is building up like a tidal wave about to come crashing down on the shoreline.
Margaret loses it. She can't hold it any longer. I think narratively she's been holding it this whole time. Mm-hmm. She didn't add it to her power set. It was a push. It does that sort of flicker thing, this sort of shield that she's made, and it goes out.
Scheiße. And he kind of looks at his hands and kind of rubs them together and grabs that wire, and this purplish, greenish electrical discharge starts to come off of his hands. And he looks at his other hand and then touches the mailbox, and this energy just disperses out of his hands and through the wires to the battery.
Yeah, like a dome of electricity goes out in all directions, just arcing from this, going out. It hits the puddle. The puddle screams, and we see like the text box like trail away as the puddle is like blasted away, and like fragments and drops of it are just splattering against the windshields and the windows and the cement. And when as this arc of electricity passes by the buildings, passes by the lamps, passes by these cars that are idling, they all shut off. And I think in the next panel we see like it continue to extend as all the lights in this city go out. The panel comes back to the two of you, one of you holding a battery bomb in your hands, the other one of you soaking wet and exhausted in this pitch black Oregon street. But the puddle has been defeated. What do you do?
I think Crystal Gazer, her knees are shaking, and they finally give out, and she falls to the ground. She's not like passed out, but she's like exhausted and sitting there in a soaking wet dress, her hair a mess, her mascara having run all down her face already because she was already crying, and now she's all wet. And she collapses onto the ground, and like her hands fall into her lap, and she just looks down at them.
Doc drops the wires and rushes over to her and like kneels down and takes her hands. Don't marry him.
I was hoping you'd say that.
And they have their first kiss. No.
Yeah,
actually,
that sounds like an appropriate thing to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And they have their first kiss.
Yeah, and we have this kiss, this beautiful, passionate, lovely kiss. And I think we have the close-up of y'all kissing. Or you two. Or the characters kissing. Whatever, don't want to make all.
Me and Occam kissing. That's exactly
me and
what
Occam kissing. Occam and Marlo kissed. But then in the next panel, it pulls back to see like the shadowy outlines of these buildings, but up above is just a beautiful starry sky that had been blocked out by this light, but now can be seen clearly. We turn the page, and we see the hallway of the University of Oregon, and we see Dr. Fusion and Crystal Gazer walk into the shot, or walk into the panel, rather. What do y'all look like?
So, like, I think it's probably like this scene where they come into the office soaking wet, and, like, he takes off his jacket, and she starts to take her soaking dress off, and he, like, helps her out of it. And it's real sweet, and, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, but before y'all even get in, I like the idea that, like, you walk around a corner, and I think Margaret already has your coat on as y'all walk around the corner. And you go to unlock the door, you open it, and I think, Dr. Fusion, this is your office, you would know, and you would notice this. A window at the back of your office is open. and you see the drapes are like just fluttering silently in the breeze.
He just walks over, closes the window.
As you close the window, a lamp clicks on behind you.
Oh, damn it, Nick Fury.
You turn around, and you see Omission sitting in your desk.
You have some answers to give.
End of episode.
I hate it. God damn.
I was trying to get it in. There you come.
Omission, more like cock block.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Tales to Inspire. We'll be back with our next episode on May 15th. If you have social media, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. Like and follow us at Misconceptions Pod for up-to-date information about the show, behind-the-scenes pictures, and just to show us your general positive feelings about the show. We also have a Discord. You can click the link below to join our Discord so that you can chat with other friends of the show and chat with other cast members directly. We also have an email. If you would like to contact us that way, you can email us at misconceptionspod@gmail.com. This show is fully supported by the generous monthly donations of our patrons on Patreon. If you would like to join that elite group of supporters and gain access to exclusive content, please consider joining our Patreon. The Tales to Inspire theme song was composed by Esteban Del Pino. You can find out more about his music on fiverr.com/IAM_WAKE. Omission was played by Mitchell Wallace, who can be found at Mitch Bustillos on Twitter. Crystal Gazer was played by Marlo Bogus, who can be found at Marlo Bogwitch on Twitter. Dr. Fusion was played by Occam Razor, who can be found at Occam Soccam Robo on Twitter. And I'm David White, your editor-in-chief. You can find me at Mr. Banana Socks on Twitter. The role-playing game system used in this production was a modified version of the Worlds in Peril role-playing game by Sam Joko Publishing, featuring elements from the Avatar Legends role-playing game and Masks: A New Generation role-playing game, both by Magpie Games. Tales to Inspire is a product of the Misconceptions Podcast Network. Find out more about our other shows and buy cool merch at misconceptionspod.com. And that's it for this week's episode of Tales to Inspire. Thank you so much for listening, and keep it nerdy, y'all.
Wow. Let us... I don't want to say geek out, but I love that term. So let's geek out. How do y'all feel about that episode?
Let me take a breath right here. Let me actually breathe, because I feel like I haven't breathed.
That was a whirlwind.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
it's...
That was a ton.
Yeah, I don't... I've done stuff like this with roleplays before, but I've never done it this in depth. And I've never done like that much with someone I'm as comfortable with as you, Occam. So thank you for that.
I like how slow burn this has been.
Yeah.
A lot of podcasts and a lot of stories, this would have happened in like the first 5 episodes.
Yeah.
So I love how slow burn this has been.
I agree. I think that's more realistic too, because like...
Yeah.
When you start to feel this way, there's always like this moment of like, there's always like this long period of time where like nobody's admitting shit to each other. It's just fucking there, and it's like under the surface, and it's fucking annoying, and I hate that part. I hate that part where it's like, it's I know this is happening, you know this is happening. Does somebody just say something?
Yep.
But it's what builds the tension. It's great storytelling, and I think it's been really good. And I think kudos to all of us, especially David. Kudos to all of us though, because we've all.
Yes, thank you, David, for sitting through audience.
All of that. Yeah, I was a member of the audience for this episode, and I was 100% okay with it.
No, but you could have, like, as a storyteller, knowing, because, I mean, listener, we've known this is going to happen from the beginning. Like, when we created our characters, I was like, hey, I want to do this thing, which I still can't talk about because it's still not over. Nope, and I was like, sure, let's do it. And I was like, yay! So, but David could have put us in lots of situations where, like, it would have happened faster. And so that's why I say kudos to you, David. That's why I say that. But
I'm just here to tell the story.
David's phenomenal about giving us the room to tell the story we want to tell.
Stop it.
No, I won't stop it.
I won't stop. God, I won't stop.
It's what your. I think it's your greatest strength as a MC, DM, whatever, is being open and being able to make that room for people to do what they want to do versus focusing only on the story.
Well, thank you. It has been something that I've had to learn to do, but thank you for saying that. That is very validating and makes me feel very good on the inside. Yeah, but whatever about me. This was a great role playing from two of you. Like, as I was sitting here, I was like, nobody could have picked a better two role players to role play this episode.
Right.
Well,
I was like, I would not be having this much fun if it was anybody else. I'll say that right now.
Sweet. I don't fully believe you. I'm sure I know of many people in our group, like in our core podcast group, that would do phenomenally.
Sure. That's true. I'm not putting any down. Or anyone down. I'm just saying y'all are amazing.
Well, and I think we have a rapport already.
That's
like, and that's
true.
That's a key there, because I mean,
yes.
We've been working on Sins of the Father for how many years now?
I don't even know.
4?
Has it been 2.5?
Has it been
4 years?
I think it might have been at least. It's been at least 3, because the original incarnation.
Sure. Okay.
Was like
fair.
A year and a half before the second version, I think, is when we started planning it. So, like, I think it's been like 3.5, almost 4 years.
But so the point what I'm saying is, like, we've been playing together for years now, and we play together consistently.
Yeah.
And we've both
done so
great.
many side quests. All three of us have done so many side quests together. We know each other in and out right now.
Right. I mean, maybe not in, but definitely out.
Okay, sure. I don't mean physically in. Good Lord, Marlo.
God damn it.
Good
the romance
Lord.
episode's over, Marlo.
You said in. I want to make it clear.
No, you're fine.
Make it clear to everybody, because that legitimately, like, if I heard, like, I mean, obviously I was in it, so, like, if I heard that, I would just be like, who are these two people? How do they have that kind of relationship that they could just talk like that to each other? Like, you gotta know, with me and Occam, there are no boundaries.
None.
Mentally.
But physically, they have not been in.
We've never even... Yeah.
I've never even met Marlo in person, which
I know.
is also crazy to think about.
It is.
I know.
It is crazy. And I also think, going off of that, I think, like, a listener could be listening to this and be like, I want that. I want that, like, at my table. Like, I want to role play that situation. Which, if you do, just know that you need to put up some safety. Before we recorded this episode, we talked about, like, what our expectations was. While we were recording, we paused and asked if we were okay. And we took, like, beats if we needed to, which will all be edited out. But even, like, way back when in our session 0 half a year ago, we also talked about this. So this has been something that has been planned. And so if you're a player that wants to pursue like PC romance, just know that this scene wouldn't have happened without safety and discussions beforehand, along 100%. With Occam and Marlo knowing each other for the past 2.5 years, which I think that's something also important to say.
Yeah, and I think even after we do this geek out, we probably need to do a little aftercare here, just to make sure that we're good, and talk off mic, just to make sure that we're okay. Yeah. Because it's a lot, and even, this can transmute other feelings and emotions, so we have to make sure that we're taking care of each other, that we're talking things through, and dealing with that. And so we're going to do that after, too. I can honestly say I'm going to be checking in and making sure we're good. Because that was a lot. It was hard.
It was good. It was hard.
Yeah.
It was rough.
But, oh, my God. That conversation was... I don't know. I don't know if I can pick a favorite moment of this podcast before we're even done with season 1, but damn. That was very good, y'all.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it again, because like being in it is different than hearing it played back. So like, I cannot wait to hear it all cut together and stuff, and like have music behind it and all the like drama. I'm so excited to hear that.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I think that they're like some of that, like I'd like to play off of previous experiences and things like that, and there, you go back to a time where you left a choice to somebody you wanted them to make a choice, but you had to leave the choice to them. And, sometimes they make a choice you don't agree with, and they don't make the choice that you wanted. And I've been there, done that. I got the t-shirt. So I feel like, and you can play off of previous experience, that helps too. And I feel like, again, it goes back to that rapport. It's just never, you've got to have that good safety before, during, and after. Like,
absolutely.
Yes, definitely. And let's switch gears a little bit from the safety meta side of it to talk about like Crystal Gazer's arc in this episode alone. Definitely was not planned, but it would be so cool to like do a case study of Margaret's relationship with men just in this episode.
Oh yeah, that's true.
At the very beginning,
oh my gosh!
At the very beginning, you had Torchbearer, this man representing somebody else, being forced upon her by the directors because it looks good. No physical, emotional connection. Then you have Julian trying to force a man on her. And then I thought about it while y'all were having the conversation, but like these men are pigs, and like what they want from you and all this stuff, and like finally like what her relationship with Dr. Fusion is. It's just as you are having that conversation, I was like, oh my gosh, what a beautiful like character arc that we are seeing just in like a single episode.
I hadn't even thought about it in that,
but
like, as a whole.
Think about this though. She still didn't advocate for herself. Yes. She still left the decision up to a man.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. And I created Crystal Gazer. Now, this is not like a post-mortem, like this is this character. And there's a ton of stuff that the listener doesn't know yet. If they're listening in order, they have no idea. Because it's I'm not going to say any more than it's going to get worse.
We got some plans.
We got some plans.
We got some long-term plans.
Oh, yeah. But I wanted her to be tragic, and I created her that way by design because, and that's maybe why the role-playing came out so good, because I feel like I have dealt with that in my life, where I was treated a certain way by men because of they were attracted to me, and because my autonomy was not like I was like not I'm trying to say this in a way where it doesn't sound bad, so let me try, because I mean we may have to cut some of this out so I can kind of say it in a nice way. So David, just use your best judgment with this. But I've been in situations where my own consent was not heard. I've been in multiple situations where my consent was not heard.
Yeah.
It's a repeated problem. And I created Crystal Gazer as a way for me to feel those things and live in those things and see, now that I'm like in my 30s and I'm like looking back on my life and cracking open that shell, I wanted to portray this woman who wasn't perfect, who isn't that, she isn't the strong-willed, like, Wonder Womans of the world. She has these powers to control minds, but she literally lets people control her own. And that's kind of the juxtaposition I wanted to create here, is that there's this tragic, because there's so many tragic feminine, like, women in that old Hollywood era. Women that even are portrayed and seen as positive still had really tragic shit happen. So I wanted to portray that. I wanted to feel this through for myself. And so it's cathartic for me to go that route. So if you feel like any of that was not kosher to tell listeners, or maybe we need a warning before, you can cut this warning in, content warning. You may need to cut ahead a bit. I don't know. You can figure that out if you want. But yeah, so that's kind of it. That's why I created the character. And
yeah. No, that's great. It's a great insight to give the listeners into that character.
And into me, if you want. Hey.
Yeah.
Trauma. Woo.
Yeah, Occam, what's your takeaway? What would you like to add about this episode?
Oh, man. Man. Dr. Fusion is a weird... All of my characters that I play have a part of myself in them. Dr. Fusion is a weird part of myself. He's something that I've experienced in the past, that I've done in the past, and not realized until hindsight, which is normal for most people. He does things that hurt people, and he doesn't realize it because he's not thinking about them. He's only thinking about himself. I've been that person. It's hard to admit, but it's a really hard thing to come to terms with. And I think that this episode is probably the beginning of kind of him realizing that things are different, and that he needs to reevaluate himself, and what he values in life. And yeah, it's such an interesting story that's being told from these two characters.
Yeah.
Because they're both heavily flawed people.
Yes, yeah.
And they're both probably going to hurt each other in a lot of ways. And it's hard to play that sometimes. So
that's good. That's good. Also, Occam, thank you for making the great storytelling decision to be like, I don't have any of my superhero gear.
I self-nerf myself in everything I play, almost.
I love it. I love it.
I find having less tools, or actually, no, I mean kind of, having less actual tools gives me more tools to play with, like, mechanically.
Yeah.
So, like, removing my my abilities, which I did during the Hitler episodes as well.
Yes, yeah.
Removing my capabilities to make me have to think out of the box. And as soon as I said it, I was like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? And it started, like, rotating in my head. My brain started working in overdrive. And I do that intentionally because it's more fun to me to give myself, I don't know, more to deal with.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up the Munich episode where you only brought in that ring for your fusion fist, and that was such another cool moment.
I mean, it made sense because I wasn't going to enter this building with this bulky gear that is obviously superhero gear. Like, there was no way to hide it.
Yeah.
So either it was hide all of my gear in a briefcase somewhere, or come up with another solution. So.
Yeah. No, I love it. Fantastic. Do we have any other things to geek out about with this episode, or do we want to answer some mechanical questions?
Just that script. I have not even read the whole thing.
Yes, please. I read through.
Okay.
I glanced through it, and every single line, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yes. Okay. So, listeners, I took a mental health day today. I did not go to work because every 6 weeks I try to give myself a day where I don't go to work. I send James to school, or I send my kid to school, and then stay home. And it's just about me. It's a me day. It's great. But part of my me day was that I legit wrote a script for that screen. Like, I wrote it out as a script in that format for that beginning scene. And I was actually going to, we began the episode with levity. I wanted to end the episode with levity by reading the rest of that script on mic.
Can I preface this by saying, David is a quality author. He's writing books. Like, he has, I think you've got multiple books you've worked on, right?
Yeah.
So, like, the fact that this script came out of him is just a testament to how it takes a good writer to write this badly.
Well, thank you. Yes, I wanted to message you on Discord, like, as soon as I finished it this morning, and be like, I wrote something so bad, and I'm so happy with it. But yeah, we could either read that now, or we could read that after the questions. What would y'all want to do?
It doesn't matter to me. Whatever.
Do we want to leave off with that so that we'll just answer the questions and then leave everybody with that?
Yes, I would like to do that. So
let's do that.
Let's answer some questions. So at the end of the session, answer these questions. Which character made you feel like a welcome member of the team? How have you grown detached from the team? What dangerous threat or complicated problem did you overcome? And the last one is, did you fulfill one of your drive book goals? Who would like to go first to answer those questions?
I'll go. Well, I know it didn't seem like it, but at the end of the episode, Crystal Gazer has made Dr. Fusion feel more welcome.
Oh yeah, welcome.
Oh my god. She opened the door. No. Anyways, fade to black. So yes, I would say definitely Crystal Gazer. There's still going to be some issues there, which is why I still would have 1 point in Bond anyways. But yeah, there's definitely it's definitely their relationship should improve from this, because they finally admitted everything and they're like, okay, this is what we are. Here we go. Let's do it.
Yeah. You defined your relationship, yeah. Okay, so step back your Bond clock with that person and either clear a condition or mark an achievement.
Well, I don't have any conditions, so I guess I'll mark an achievement.
Dope.
Go
ahead.
And does the puddle count as a dangerous threat? I don't know if he does.
Yeah, I don't know if he was dangerous. He had 5 stress and 1 condition. So he wouldn't have been very difficult to defeat. I guess he wasn't difficult to defeat because y'all did it. So I don't know. I don't know if it would be a dangerous threat or complicated problem. I
think our complicated problem that we overcame was our relationship issues.
I agree. Yeah, so mark 1 achievement.
The villain was a backdrop for our personal conflict.
Yes, 100%.
Which, honestly, the best comic books are where that's the case.
Yeah.
So you didn't have any more you're going to answer, right? Okay. So I'm going to, obviously I'm going to answer the same. I think Dr. Fusion and Crystal Gazer are This is probably the peak. I don't know. It's pretty close to the peak. Maybe not the peak, but it's not going to be good. So
it's the summit camp before you hit the peak.
Yeah, nearly there, and it's a short peak. Peaked early. A lot of people I know in high school peaked early too. No, it's a joke. I'm sorry, anybody who listens to this. I didn't mean you if you're listening to this, because you obviously are peaking right now because you're listening to this. Yeah, it doesn't get any better than this.
That's right.
So, sorry, I'm filled with energy. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that, she had thought that maybe this was not a thing. She thought that maybe he was being nice, or didn't realize that she was interested, or didn't feel the same. Like, I mean, any millions of things that you tell yourself in that moment when, you're feeling away and you think it might be one-sided. So I think it's, I'm obviously there's something wrong with me. He doesn't like me. If I was better, I could turn his head. Like, all of those things are what goes through Margaret's mind in this moment. So yeah, I think that's definitely gonna step back the bond clock, and we might clear a condition.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably afraid. No, angry. She's not angry anymore.
Okay.
We're going to clear angry.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And we're going to step back that bond clock. And then, what was the other one? Yeah, I think that relationship, I think same thing. So I'll mark an achievement for that one.
Dope. All right. Well, awesome. Did either of you get a full achievement? A full achievement track?
I do not.
No.
Okay. All right. Well then, listeners, thank you so much for listening. And as a gift for listening so far, we're going to read a very bad script. So let's, where did you kill it, Marlo? What line did you decide to end it at?
Right before they kissed.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Okay,
do we want to read it like we were?
That's up to you.
And you do Hitler? Because that could be fun.
I would like that. I would have fun with that.
So we want to start from where we left off. We don't want to start over again.
Maybe do the line that we cut, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Torchbearer, could you take that line again? Or I guess let's just go back to Crystal Gazer. That coily line.
Okay. Dear Jesus. This cheese.
I suppose I haven't been shy about finding out how you really feel about me, have I? Just shy about doing anything about it.
Shy? Then why don't you let me take the lead on this one, Mags?
The two embrace in a kiss. An explosion, as one of the facades in the background crumples. Adolf Hitler appears in his Reichmech, a thundering suit made of melted down American tanks and British aeroplanes.
Ek, finally I have found you, Operation American Defense. You have come into my empire, and now you shall pay for it with your lives.
Oh my god. Torchbearer pushes Crystal Gazer behind him.
Adolf, I was hoping I'd run into you here. Time to give you that suck to the jaw that I promised you last time.
Torchbearer leaps across the city square in a single bound. He grapples with a 10-foot-tall mech, but he is not strong enough. Hitler backhands Torchbearer, and the hero collapses onto the ground.
Ha ha ha! With Philadelphia's Son of Liberty defeated, it seems Operation American Defense shall fall as well, and soon the entire world!
Not so fast, Adolf. Did you forget that Operation American Defense is more than just the two of us?
The other members of Operation American Defense jump into view. Geiger Gal, Mother Midnight, Professor Fission, and Masterpiece.
What? What is this? I thought I destroyed you all with my otherworldly ray gun.
Ooh, okay. Your tricks and schemes won't work against us, Adolf Hitler. Just like the states, we are stronger when we are united. Operation American Defense, go get 'em!
The members of Operation American Defense rush Adolf Hitler. As they fight, Crystal Gazer runs to Torchbearer and cradle his head in her lap.
Torchy, can you hear me?
Megs! Oh, Megs! I think I'm done for.
What? No, not now. Not after I finally know how I feel about you.
Stop that, doll. You always knew how I felt about you. I don't know why I'm going... whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You always know that...
Torchbearer dies in Crystal Gazer's arms.
The only man I've ever loved is dead. Killed by a madman and a tyrant. Well, that does it. I'm ending this war right here, right now, and afterwards, I'm resigning myself to a cloister to show that no man could ever love me as well as Grant Godwin, the torchbearer of Philadelphia.
Crystal Gazer stands up and puts her hands to her head using her telekinetics. A rock, urged by Crystal Gazer's mind, lifts into the air.
I may never have had a chance to marry the man I loved, and I may not be a woman of the cloth yet. But Adolf Hitler, with this rock, I do thee wed.
The rock smashes onto Adolf Hitler as a Nazi tyrant screams his final breath. Ah!
To death!
And scene.
God. It's so bad.
Oh my god, dude! This is your magnum opus! This is it!
This is it.
Oh, God.
This is my magnum opus. Listeners, Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that very bad script. Thank you so much for listening, and keep it nerdy, y'all.